So the Rams sent Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third-round pick to Detroit for Matthew Stafford. Who won this trade?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of even if it makes any sense. Yes, it felt like the Rams gave up a lot, but Matthew Stafford, he is a good to great quarterback. Like this is a quarterback that you would like to have on a team contending, trying to go for a Super Bowl run. They got all the pieces they need on defense for most part. They have a better receiving core, in my opinion, here in LA. I mean, they have a good running back. I mean, Matthew Stafford, I don't think he's had too many 1,000-yard rushing running backs behind him in Detroit. So this is a big change for him. Um, I mean, for me, I think I'll have to go. I, I don't know. I feel like slightly the Rams. It depends. It really. This is one of those things. That's like contingent. Like I can't give it a grade until I see the full season yet. For me personally, but how do you feel about this trade? Like, who do you think won in your opinion?
Man, I think Matthew Stafford won this trade. I'm probably so happy to be out of Detroit, but I do want to say I do think I'm on the side of I think the Rams gave up a little bit too much. Uh, Look, for the price of two firsts and a third, if you had slapped maybe two more second rounders in there, you could have maybe thrown in like Malcolm Brown or something. Maybe you could make your run at Deshaun Watson. I know there's a lot of talk about their front office doesn't want to trade him. I think it's bull jive. I think that they're just trying to build his value back up because he requested the trade. Uh, so I think that the Rams, they should have maybe targeted Deshaun Watson a little heavier with a slightly better deal. But Matthew Stafford's a perfectly fine quarterback. My only concern about Matthew Stafford in LA is that, is he going to bring some of his bad habits from Detroit over to LA? And can Sean McVay coach that out of him? Because it's not like Matthew Stafford's had amazing coaches over in Detroit. He's had basically nothing.
Well, he had at least one decent coach. I think Jim Caldwell was a good coach for them. That's when they actually had winning seasons. But they fired him. Don't know why. They fired him for actually Matt Patricia, who was horrible and didn't have as many wins as Caldwell, I think, until his final season where he got fired. So, yeah, he was. I mean, bad coaching. Yes, he had a lot of bad coaches. He had a decent coach in Jim Caldwell, but McVay, I mean, this is a big change for him. My thing is when it comes to the trade, I mean, Matthew Stafford was going to go for a first rounder regardless. The other first rounder was pretty much put in place to kind of take on, like, since we're taking on Goff's awful contract, we need another first rounder compensation, which makes sense from the Lions standpoint. But I think more on the Lions side, with them going into full rebuild, I do feel like Jared Goff is a good transitional quarterback. Now he's not
Mhm.
great, he's not horrible. He's about average to above average, which is fine for like a starting quarterback, I think. And the Lions aren't spectacular in the first place. But Jared Goff's only 26. You know, he's got a lot of area to improve. I feel like with this team, with this franchise in the rebuild, and Jared Goff's getting a second chance, I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity for him to step it up. I mean, I feel like both the franchise and him have a chip on their shoulder going into this season. They got something to prove, and I feel like with a new coach, a new GM, new quarterback, I feel like this is the turnaround that this team needs.
Yeah, it very well could be. I wouldn't say anyone really lost this trade. I just think that the Lions won a little bit more than the Rams did. But to be fair, when talking about the Rams, they haven't had a first round pick in all of Sean McVay's tenure, and they've been just fine. So,
Yeah.
and also first round picks, they're not guaranteed hits. You're not always going to land every first rounder. So, this could actually end up being a much better move for the Rams in the future. We have to see how the season starts, obviously.
Yeah. One more
But
thing
some,
I want to say about the trade before I guess you go into the next thing. I think them getting Goff is actually good for them not trying to draft a quarterback in the first round. Now they can put this draft pick to maybe a receiver since Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones are out the door essentially. I think they can get like a Jamari Chase or Devontae Smith with the 7th pick. So I think this would be like better for them than drafting a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, I agree on that. I also do want to bring up that, I mean, there was a lot of beef between Jared Goff and Sean McVay. We talked about it a few weeks back how there was tension.
Yeah.
And, when Goff got to Detroit, one of the first things he said was, like, it's nice to be in a place where I feel appreciated.
Yeah.
So,
Big shot.
yeah. So they kind of had to trade him. That's because I assume there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we can't even fathom right now. Yeah, they definitely had to trade him, I think. And, for Stafford, it's a pretty decent deal. But this is interesting because this deal kind of sets the market for Carson Wentz and even for Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Matthew Stafford's going for 2 firsts and a third, man, Deshaun Watson's going to go for a first, 3 firsts, 2 seconds. Like he's gonna, and Carson Wentz, I know the Eagles talked about how they want a Stafford-like package for him, which I'm not sure if they're gonna get, but this is a market-setting trade.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard some things about the Wentz trade. I heard about a Wentz trade rumor, I should say. I know there was one trade rumor they were saying that they might trade Wentz to the Bears for, I think it was a first rounder, Tariq Cohen and Nick Foles. But there's multiple trade packages. I've heard about the rumors. I heard they might trade with the Colts. They might trade with a couple other teams. I think the Texans also were one team they were also thinking about potentially having trade talks with. I don't think Wentz to the Texans or Deshaun Watson to the Eagles would be good for either one of them. That's like a little side note, but like I just feel like it is a very interesting. It's going to be very interesting from here on out because a lot of trade packages are going to be a lot heftier than they should be. I know at one point, I think the Texans said they wanted to trade for 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, and then 2 defensive starters just for Watson. So the Matthew Stafford trade really did a lot of damage, and a lot of teams got to overcompensate, in my opinion, for a lot of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine that price goes up. But yeah, to me, it just kind of seems like the NFL is kind of becoming more like the NBA in terms of like trades and just player empowerment. Like Deshaun Watson he's kind of setting a path for unhappy players to get out of their situations right now. He's kind of leading the charge. He's setting the precedent for future players that are unhappy with the teams that want to leave by doing what he's doing. And he's a mega star. This isn't just some random safety on the Bills or something. This is the quarterback, a top 5 quarterback in the league. So, it's going to be very interesting to see where the NFL heads, like the direction it heads down. I know the NBA is the NBA is so strange because right now I believe half the teams in the league don't own their first round pick for like the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So that could end up happening. That could end up happening with the NFL as well eventually if enough stars keep asking out and people keep getting trades. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. You got any final words?
I mean, honestly, power to the players. I mean, a lot of people do complain about it. I know Brett Favre made his comments about the Deshaun Watson situation, but like for me, power to the players. I mean, I feel like they should have a right to where they want to go rather than sending them the last place they want to be at. So, I have nothing but love for the players. He's not doing it in a disrespectful way either. I mean, they literally got rid of all his pieces and all that stuff. So the frustration makes sense for Watson's situation. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Totally agree. GameStop, please sponsor us. Power to the players.